Today on the Driver's Corner, we are going to talk about budget tires. Today's tire that we're looking at is the Achilles Desert Hawk UHP. I have two sets of these tires. I have one on my wife's Range Rover Sport, and I just put the second set on our 2004 Porsche Cayenne S. If you haven't seen my other videos, I was introduced to the Achilles ATR2, I think is what they're called, by a guy at Cars and Coffee. So he had them on a 350Z. Apparently they're really big in the drift scene, and they were dirt cheap, like unbelievably cheap. And I needed a set of tires to put on my factory wheels on my Corvette prior to actually buying the aftermarket wheels I was putting on there, but I needed something to get me by until I had all that stuff in. So I decided I'd take a gamble on the Achilles brand. I'd never heard of them before, but I ordered some, got them on, and rolled on them on the factory wheels on the Corvette for a long time, several thousand miles, and I thought, man, these are actually really great tires. So I ordered those and put those on the aftermarket wheels that I put on the Corvette. And since then, I have kind of been having a secret little love affair with these tires. I decided to purchase the Desert Hawk UHPs from the Achilles brand for our SUV. When we got it, I swapped out the wheels to some 22s, and 22s have really expensive tires. So I started looking at budget tires. It was between the Federals, same thing I did when I looked at the Corvette, and I started digging into the Achilles again, and I couldn't deny them. So I ended up with a set of 285 35 22s on both the cars, because I have 22s on the Porsche Cayenne and I have 22s on the Range Rover now. The reviews were pretty good. Now, there wasn't like video reviews and everything else, but there was definitely a lot of people, putting on Amazon or whatever, hey, great tire, these are the best, whatever. I picked up a set for the Rover for $443 shipped to my door. And actually, when I went back to buy them for the Porsche, 2 months, 3 months later, they had come down to $411 for a set of 22, 285, 35 22s. Now, we have taken several long road trips on the tires, and we went down to Florida and back, and they were flawless. The guys that come to my house said they balanced out really nicely, and they're really smooth riding, good handling tire. They have a tread wear rating of 400, and they are also a traction tire. I don't know what the warranty is. I think once you start getting into the lower profile tires, you kind of don't get a warranty, but after 4,000 miles on the Range Rover and about 500 miles on the Porsche, they don't really show any wear. I'm going to show you some video footage of the tires and the sidewall design, which is very similar to the ATRs, and I just think that, man, for the money, and you just can't go wrong. I mean, we're talking about the Desert Hawk UHPs on our SUVs. These are just daily drivers. So my wife punts to and from work and to our business. On mine, I drive all over, about 100 plus miles a day on mine. So I go through a lot of tires, and I thought, let's just give these a shot. So overall, they have a really interesting design. They're very smooth. It's not like an off-road tire. It is still like a street tire. You can see it in the video here in a second. But the tread design does have the siping and ways to push the water out through. They corner extremely well. They're very similar to the ATR, so I haven't pushed them in either of our performance SUVs past the point where they even started squealing, despite the high tread wear rating at 400. So overall, turn-in is precise. There's no slop to it at all. The grip is really, really good. I don't break traction on these things. Wet usage, I drove through a torrential, and I'm talking probably more water on the road than I've ever driven through. When we were coming back from Florida the other day, just outside of Atlanta, I had so much confidence in the tires to be able to move water that I really can't complain. Now, one thing I will say, I haven't driven these in the winter yet, but if they're anything like the ATRs, similar tread wear rating, similar compound, you know, they're gonna obviously be a little harder in the winter, but I drove the Corvette, which has more power than both of our SUVs, and I didn't have any issues over the winter with the Corvette. So I would assume that these are gonna perform similarly. I mean, the tread design's slightly different. There's a lot more larger blocks and stuff on the Desert Hawks, but overall, I think if you're looking for a budget tire, especially if you're going with a bigger diameter wheel and you just don't want to spend $1,500 on a set of name brand tires, then I would say that the Achilles Desert Hawk UHPs are probably the tire that you need. Not necessarily want, but they're definitely the tire you need if you're trying to stay within a budget. So as always, I try to find products that I don't get paid to do this, so I'm just letting you know what's working for me. I have name brand tires on some of my other vehicles. Like I've got the Wild Peaks on both our Jeep and our Nissan Titan. Those were very expensive tires, and honestly, you know, depending on what you're using your vehicle for, but if you're just daily driving your SUV or your light truck and you kind of like to drive a little spirited and sporty, I'd say that the Achilles Desert Hawk UHP is the best tire that you can buy for the money. They're $441 for a set of 4 and a 285, 35, 22. I mean, how can you go wrong? I mean, prove me wrong. So overall, I'm going to put up some money shots of the tires so you can kind of see what they look like, and I really appreciate you guys tuning in. If you're interested in anything else, just let me know. I can answer any questions you might have below. I always respond, no matter what. I don't care how busy I am. I spend time every evening and I answer the questions in my comments. So if you like my videos, if you want to check out the Corvette project or anything else that I've got going on, please, you know, keep this thing rolling and watch some of the other things that I have. I'll have a review, a 20,000 mile review on my Wild Peak AT tires coming up at the end of the weekend. So we've got them on 2 vehicles, so I'm going to talk about that as well. And I really appreciate you guys tuning in, and I'll see you soon. Thanks.